Hi, I'm Ralph Preston, and we have these Stroke Buddies Stroke Survivor Support Group meetings, and our friend Rachel Jarmusz has been kind enough to work with us to produce some videos on stroke yoga, doing yoga for stroke recovery. And last week we had a little talk about her story and an introduction. And this week we're going to have a little demonstration. And then the next 4 Wednesdays, we're going to have 4 yoga classes. Rachel feels that if she works with people 4 times in 4 classes, that often they get it. I'll be putting them all on my YouTube channel so that you can do them along. I personally like to do yoga along with somebody rather than all by myself. And if you need more than, if it takes you a little longer to adapt, you can keep watching the 4 classes and get where you want to be with it. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Rachel. Rachel, thank you for doing this for us.
You're welcome. I'm very happy to be here. I think I want to start by saying that the 4 classes that I have in my mind are kind of set up in terms of learning basic yoga poses. So I'm going to talk a little yoga language, and if anyone has any questions, please raise your hand. But moving through Warrior 1, Warrior 2, Warrior 3, and then the 4th class is low lunge using the chair with your foot up on the chair to do a lunge. So none of it is fully on the floor, although my idea is that once you work through each kind of series, you get closer and closer to feeling comfortable getting down on the floor. It's not like a guarantee. It's not like this is gonna happen. It's just getting you more comfortable with your body, right? So today we're gonna do Warrior 1 with a whole lot of other poses. So as I move, I'm gonna tell you the pose, give you a few options, have you try it. You can do it, you can opt out, you can sit there, you can breathe, whatever. It will probably be about 40 minutes, 50 minutes, maybe an hour or so, because like I said, the class starts with breathing. We move into a warm-up. We go into sun salutation seated, standing behind the chair. Standing, Ralph, I think you might demo using the seat of the chair, doing your sun salutations. Then we do a little bit of standing. So you could stay standing next to your chair. You could go to a wall. You could use a person if you have somebody nearby to help, to try a few standing poses to see how good your balance is, right? And then we cool down and we go into Shavasana and you're like relaxed, right? So that's a full yoga class. That's an hour of yoga, right? That's pretty standard anywhere you go. That's kind of how it's going to be. And I pretty much stick to that. So to start with here, you're going to be in a comfortable chair. The best kind of chair is like a kitchen chair, like a hard chair, and something that has a back. Like that. Yes. Yes. Okay, so you're seated. You might have props. You might have a block. You might have 2. You might have a strap. But you don't need that, right? You'll start to kind of pull a little bit of ideas in your head. Like, yes, do you have a question? Did I see a hand or something go up? Like someone had a question. Please interrupt me if you have a question. Unmute yourself and just ask, please.
I think you're good to go. I don't see anybody.
Okay, I thought Abraham was raising his hand and now he's trying to like unmute himself. Maybe.
No, I did. I was trying to unmute myself. What is a strap? I don't have a strap.
Oh, okay. Show him.
A gate
Wait,
belt.
just a second, I have to move my screen again. Oh, like a gate belt?
Okay, this is what every stroke survivor is saying, and I think that it's hilarious because this is a yoga belt. This is not a gate belt. This is a yoga belt. Everything
Well,
that
I know a gate belt has that metal closure on it. I
yeah,
understand
it's
that,
very similar.
but I've never seen one. I don't
I
know.
know, I know. It's actually kind of funny to me that it does look like a gate belt, right? Because all the belts that we ever saw in therapy were those bands, right? The stretchy ones. These are taut, and this is what you want to do everything with in your recovery is a taut, something that's not going to give on you.
Well, most skate belts are cloth, and they're nothing more than a yoga belt like mine. It's not stretchy. It has a buckle on the end. You
Yes.
take the buckle off. Anyway,
I'm
some kind of
try to talk. See, I'm going to try to talk about what we can use this for, but the idea that I want everybody to kind of develop here is that yoga really is very adaptable. It's very flexible. It's very much about you and your body and moving in ways that feel comfortable and easeful. Now, I'm not saying it might not be a little awkward at first because sometimes we get into a pose and it's like, what the heck am I doing? This makes my body feel weird. But the inevitable goal is to find comfort in these poses, to find the breath, and to just allow your body to be in different shapes, right? Be in different places and breathe. That's really all it is. So if you can't do anything, don't. If you want to challenge yourself, if you feel like going out, getting a block, getting a strap because you think, hey, that would be cool, then do that. But you don't have to, right? I'm going to add in a few little moments where we can use these, but mostly it's just going to be you and your body. You and your body. So let's start here just by sitting. Bring yourself onto your seat and close your eyes. Find your sitting bones. So you have two. You're going to find the right one. And you're going to find the left one. And then again. Now, this might be one of the only yoga expressions that I think is valuable in modern yoga language and culture, but you're finding your center, okay, your literal center here. After a little teeter to both sides, a few times, come to center and sit. Notice your feet. Sometimes we use weights on the feet if a foot curls or if a leg pulls up. Sometimes the leg won't stay on the ground. So you use like a sandbag or I'm like kind of cheap, so I use like a bag of beans is 1 pound, a bag of rice is 3 pounds. And so you can make weights for yourself if that's an issue, right? But you're seated and your eyes are closed. Your mouth is closed. You're breathing in here through the nose and out the nose. Noticing your feet. Okay, so let's take a hand onto the belly. Anywhere on the belly, just one hand. Inhale there and send your belly forward. Exhale and notice the belly kind of flop back down. And now whenever I talk about doing a round of breaths, I'm talking about doing maybe 2. Okay, we're not shooting for like 10. We're not going like, oh, I'm gonna do 50. Yes. No, you maybe do 1 quality breath, maybe 2, max like 3, right? So you're here. Find that really good deep breath, sending the breath down to the belly and out. Now that was probably enough time for 3. So we want to be moving really slowly, really consciously, moving the hand up to the rib cage. Your bottom rib cage is where your diaphragm is housed, right behind it, right? So when we inhale and exhale, we want to involve the whole body here. It's called a 3-part breath. And every kind of series that I teach adds a different breath technique. This one is just kind of the fundamental yoga breath. 3-part breath, belly, diaphragm, lungs. So we're at the diaphragm, right? You can take one or both hands across the ribs and breathe. It's really actually quite neat because the belly presses forward and the diaphragm goes wide, right? Notice the expansion. Your diaphragm is so cool because it actually presses back as you inhale, but it also widens out, kind of like a stingray. Now we move one hand to the heart, and we're going to keep one hand on the belly if you can, and one hand on the heart. If not, just rest your hand on your lap and place one hand on your heart. Breathing in here, you're putting together 1, 2, and 3. Breathing is almost like filling a glass of water, right? You're filling it up, and we don't want to stop too short, right? We don't want to have that shallow breath. So we want to inhale deep. Exhale, reverse. So you're breathing in, and this is a nice cue to say is belly, ribs, lungs. You're kind of saying that in your head. Belly, ribs, lungs. On your exhale is the same thing, just reverse. Lungs, ribs, belly. Now this breath is the goal. If I would say there was one goal of yoga, this breath, to maintain this breath in everything that we do. Or I shouldn't say maintain because you might lose it, right? You might lose it. You probably will lose it. I will lose it. We'll all lose it. That's fine. But to then come back to this is what grounds you in your practice. This is what I would say really matters.
The feet.
Somebody have a question?
No, they're just signing on.
Okay.
You're good.
Okay. So we're here. We're going to settle here for just a second longer and breathe maybe 2 more breaths, 3 more breaths. Such a nice place to be. This is what we call Prada Yahara. So when I talked last week about the 8 different paths or limbs of yoga, Prada Yahara is one of them, along with pranayama, our breathing. So we're accessing that internal space, shutting off the external senses and coming here, right? So already by doing this, you've done 2 things, 2 limbs of yoga. You're doing yoga and you haven't even moved. So that's why I'm saying, like, for people to think that yoga is hard or that they can't do it is just kind of a bad stereotype, because you don't have to be moving, putting your body into a pretzel to be doing yoga. This is where it is. And this, I would argue that this is what really matters. This, finding this in every moment. Now relax your hands down onto your lap. Just sit. Take your right ear over by your right shoulder. Find that breath there. Take the head to center and do the other side. It's a really nice way to open up the shoulder. Like if you have a contracted shoulder, even if you have like a subluxed shoulder, pain running down your arm, these movements side to side, everything is grounded, right? The hips don't come with you. You're not going woo over. You're very much rooted and grounded through your feet. If someone would have an issue perhaps with coming up, you might weight the thigh or have somebody hold the thighs to keep everything aligned. You can even kind of do that to yourself, walking your hands or even just one hand out and pressing down onto your knees, keeping that alignment. And then drop your chin down to your chest here. Make a little crescent move. Go the other way. Now you might stay right here. Let the head hang and kind of swoosh. You could also make like a full circle or a figure 8 or something that is you, right? I think sometimes the yoga should just be called you because that's all it is. It's you, it's your body. So you're just rolling, your feet are grounded, right? So take a moment and notice your feet. Switch your direction. Now, the next time you pass through center, you're gonna rest with your chin at the center of your chest. Your hands and your arms are gonna literally be wherever they are, wherever they're the most comfortable to lay. And you're gonna drop your chin forward down towards your chest. And by drop your chin, I really actually mean do nothing to yourself, to your body, but just sit here and breathe. And notice how the body invites you into movement, right? Sometimes we force the body into movement. We want to get somewhere, we want to do something, but the body is constantly communicating with us. Those cells are constantly going, talking to us. And so by sitting here, you might drop further down, right? If you start to go forward, support yourself with your elbows and find your thighs. Let yourself rest here. This is a seated child's pose. Okay, so child's pose, you might see, you know, outstretched arms, a person with their hips back towards their heels on the floor. Beautiful pose. I practice it myself probably every morning in bed, just kind of stretching. The pose itself is this. You're bringing the space between this part of the body close to this part of the body. And you're resting. Okay, the child's pose is like it's a pose for the kidneys. It rests your adrenal glands. And so by resting here, you're breathing into your back. And you might just stay here and breathe. Now to get out of the pose, we're gonna be very mindful, right, of how we move. So start to send your head forward. Use one hand on the knees and push yourself up. Bring your back back. Myself back around. And so we're back here, right? We're back. We've done a couple poses. We're getting warm. We're sitting. And we're breathing. We're gonna spend a few more moments on the head just to try to relieve any tension that we might be holding on to in our head and our neck. By gently bringing the head down, this time pausing and inhaling, sending the head forward, coming up and back. Then do that again. Take the head down and up. Nice. Coming back to center here, take your gaze right to left. Coming back to center here. Now I just want to pause for a minute and kind of say that all the while we're doing this, we're noticing our feet, right? And if you had a block, everything that we just did could be done here, right? In order to reinforce more of that external hip action. Here, you can use the block. The cool thing about the block is that it's got 3 settings, right? You can use it here, you can use it here, if you're a bit wider through the hips, or you can use it here, wherever you're comfortable. And these are all valuable to do like at some point in time. So none of them are like better, worse, but everything that we just did can be done with that. I just wanted to stop and say that. And then come back into alignment here. Noticing the feet. So it's a good time to pause after a little bit of movement and just come back to that place of center. Notice if anything shifted. Notice your right side. Notice your left side. Notice if anything is working too hard, right? Like if you go down to your toes, feet, knees, hips, abdomen, shoulders, head. Notice, just close your eyes and notice. Oftentimes proprioception is affected and you can't notice and you can't feel, and that's okay. We're gonna notice what we notice. What you don't notice, right? You're gonna notice what you can feel, any sensations, anything at all. And now yoga nidra is actually a form of yoga that is no movement at all. It's just body scanning and body awareness cueing. Okay, so I do a little bit of that also before we start to move, just to bring awareness into the body, to get the body parts kind of talking to us, with us and stuff. But I want to say that if you can't send awareness there, that's okay, because what we do is we visualize it in the brain. So by sending our attention somewhere, you're sending the breath somewhere. So when I say to breathe into your feet, you're like, what the heck? How am I supposed to breathe into my feet? I can't even feel my feet. Or I don't, that sort of thing. And that's okay. That's okay. That's okay, because what all you're doing is you're in your head, in your mind's little eye, right? Like your mind is like a movie screen. right? And you're in your head and you're visualizing your feet. You might say the word feet, feet, feet in your head. That's how silly your body is in a sense, is that if you tell it something, it's like, oh yeah, I have feet, okay. So we're cueing the body, right? We're saying feet, breathe into the feet, breathe out from the feet. You might have a visual of your feet. Like, what do your feet look like without looking at them? Any foot, maybe. And then we move into the knees. So visualizing the knees within the mind's eye, saying the knees, and sending the breath there. And the hips, your iliac crest, the top of that pelvis, right? Your pelvis is literally like a bowl. And that's why I have this bowl here, because I like to say, think of your pelvis as a bowl. You don't want to tip that bowl over, right? So you're grounded and rooted there, breathing into your hips. Sending the attention into the hands, the back side of the hands, the palm of the hands, the fingers on the hands, sending the breath into the hands by visualizing the hands. Sending the breath into the elbows. And sending the breath into the shoulders. Allowing that breath to gather at the very crown of your head. It's your crown chakra right here, right? Gathering up all that breath, moving it from the top of the head to the bottom of the feet. And back from the top of the head down. The idea really isn't necessarily to control the breath. Some people say pranayama is breath control. I like to think of it more as breath expansion. Just making the breath very big. The breath knows what it kind of needs to do once the mind gets out the way. It's almost like a river flowing, right? That sometimes has blockages, but once those blockages are cleared, you don't really need to tend to it much. Feeling that breath, you're moving from your feet to your head and back down. Okay, so we're gonna start here by grabbing onto our opposite elbows. Holding here any way that you can, right? It's kind of a comforting position if you can't move the arms or you can't move something, you can be here and just kind of stay here. Right? Now, when I say to lift up, if the arm doesn't go up, that's okay, because what you're doing is you're pressing down into your feet, looking up, and then coming down. Whether or not you go here, up, and down is not the point, right? The point is that you're breathing and you're moving. It's important to talk about physics a little bit because you're pressing down into your feet. As you press down into your feet, your head is rising up. Your arms might just start to move without you even having to do anything. Then you're back down. And you're up. We do maybe about like 6 of these because these are nice. Nice. So now I'm going to say that you can stay with this movement, right? Up, down, up, down. Now, it doesn't even have to be that much, right? Up, down. And actually keeping the core engaged here, you get to maybe about here. And your core. Here, you start to move into your lower back and things start to get a little fishy. So I even recommend people that are looking to build some real strength, even if you can go here, you stop. There's so much more value in a yoga pose in stopping than going to your max, right? And that's what I hope people can see and learn from me or learn from this, is that we don't have to hurt our bodies to find muscular strength or muscular control. You actually gain more control, more movement, more strength by doing little movements, right? So now I'm going to say you can stay here going up and down, or you can start to go around and down, up and around and down. Now a figure 8 is really nice here too for more of that core engagement. That's what you're looking for, right? It kind of depends. If you just want to come and stretch, then yeah, stretch, right? But if you're looking for more muscular engagement, don't go as far. Stop. Come back. Stop. Come back. You might just be here, right? And I like that same movement we started with. You're finding your right sitting bone and you're finding your left sitting bone. Your arms don't necessarily have to move like mine are or like anyone else's here are. It's just kind of you going side to side. Okay, then come on back to center here. Exhale your breath, and this time we're gonna cat-cow right here. So you're gonna exhale your breath, drop your head. Let your body really slouch here. Notice that lower back start to pull and your pelvis is gonna go back, right? You can feel that. You can feel this pull back through the pelvis. That's our cat, right? We're starting to prep the body for cat-cow. We don't need to use the arms out to the side, up, anything. We're gonna keep the arms right here, exhale our breath, and then inhale, tilt the pelvis forward and come up. Exhale, round down. Inhale, come up. Find a little bit of movement here that's yours, right? Down, up, down, up. It's almost like a wave. You can start to get it really like kind of big, or really just small, like a up, down. We're gonna do cat-cow probably in like 3 or 4 different ways, just because the motion is spinal flexion and extension. And I did that opposite by showing it. Spinal flexion here, spinal extension here, right? So you just want to kind of practice these. These are really good to build that pelvic floor back, to start to build some core strength. And they're not very hard. They do feel kind of awkward at first, but you can ease the body into it and just move like you're water, right? Because we're like 70% water. And now cat-cow, we probably do like 10. So you'll want to shoot for maybe 10 or 12. And then let your body come to rest here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the hands, because part of what we do, or what I do, involves like mudras and hand placement or stuff. So I want to do a little bit of Anjali Mudra, which is hands to the heart. But before you freak out or panic about anything, hold on, because there's lots of ways to do this, right? Anjali Mudra is fingers extended, hands at the heart. Yes, Rel, yes. Now, if you can't do that, which, hello, I cannot, and I teach yoga. So, I mean, go figure, right? You don't have to do be able to do everything to be able to do it. You can have your hands like this. Prayer pose, grabbing your fingers. The idea, though, is a lot of people naturally come here, right? You're at the collarbone. You're here. And this is okay to be in. The pose itself is calming because you're holding your hands and you're breathing. Your eyes are closed. Now you can also come down, and it takes my wrist a good maybe 3 minutes or so to be able to get into this properly, but you can drop down into the sternum, down more closely into the center of the heart. Okay, and then your hands press together and your elbows lift up, but your palms press together, and your fingers, if you can extend it, your fingers are extended. If that causes maybe pain, maybe it's just arthritis or something in the fingers, then go like this. Keep the fingers around the hands. I love this mudra so much. It's something about this is like calm. It's just kind of like, okay, I'm okay. Good. Right, and so from here, we're gonna move into a pose that's really, really cool called eagle pose. But if you Google it, you're gonna see all kinds of weird things, people standing on one foot with their foot crossed around the other foot and balancing. We're not gonna do any of that, right? We're gonna keep it simple. We're gonna come in with the forearms here at about shoulder width, right? So a lot of times when I say to come in with the forearms, people go like this. Like, okay, I'm gonna bring them all the way in. We don't wanna do that. We wanna stay here. You're about shoulder height. Elbows are about shoulder height, I should say. And you're gonna hold. Now this might be your eagle. Eagle pose, if you're wondering kind of why it's called eagle pose at all, because the pose eventually the
Are your feet still flat here? Your feet are still flat, right?
Yes, your feet
Okay,
are
all right. All right.
Yeah, I was just
Sorry to
saying
interrupt. Go ahead, sorry.
if you Google poses, you're gonna see twists, the leg comes behind the other leg and you're standing and your arms are actually like crisscrossed here. I don't think that's a very healthy thing to do for the shoulders, so I really don't even teach that way. What I do though is I teach eagle here, and then if you want to take it farther, there you go. If you want to take it farther, see, the pose really ends up right about here, right? And you can be here and then lift a leg. So Ralph, I would say to even come, like, even though you can do the arm switch thingy, it might be more valuable to do here and find the lift here by drawing the elbows. So naturally what happens to people is when they draw up, you go out, right? Everybody does that, right? That's like a no-no though. When we draw up, we want to only stay within the width of the body. This is why people have lower back issues, because their upper back is not working. Your lower back really doesn't have any muscles other than the psoas and the core. But what supports the lower back is the upper back. But what happens is we all sit like this, right? All day, we don't get up, we don't move. And this, keeping the elbows from doing this and drawing them in, holding, and then possibly arching back, lifting a leg. And then coming down, 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 down. That's a really valuable pose, I think, for everyone to do, but stroke survivors specifically. To get that upper back, the shoulders, it really works that scapula back there in your rhomboid. So let's do another round, right? We'll do 2 of these. We'll come on back. Draw your elbows in and your hands to your heart. Nice, I'm seeing a lot of cool adjustments. Nice. Elbows are in line with the body. You come up, hold, and then go where you want to go. Go back. Avoid the elbows wide. If anything, draw the elbows in as you go back. I'm going to lift my opposite leg. And then release. That's one really good pose. How's that feel?
Good.
Everybody okay? Let's pause for water or anything that you might need. And now we're going to cat-cow a little more. And we're going to do a very short standing sun salutation. Because I want Ralph to show the seat of the chair. I'm going to show the back of the chair and kind of a variation seated a bit. And then we'll just call it quits. Because like I said, I could probably go 2 hours with a full demo. It takes a long time to kind of explain everything properly. But each class, there is room to talk a bit. There will be room to talk a bit, I think, and kind of, you know, move and figure things out. You're kind of figuring it out with yourself. You're figuring it out in your body. So let's Ralph, can you put your blocks on either side of your feet? So we're going to talk a little bit about forward folding. We're going to get our bodies kind of ready to come to standing, right? That's the whole thing, is we're getting ready to come to standing, then we stand, then we sit again, then we rest. So it's like you're rewarding yourself. You're giving your body rewards for what it's doing and taking it in very little pieces, right? So the forward fold is a very nice pose, but very misrepresented, right? Very kind of mis-taught, I think. So in order to access that pose, what we're going to do here is we're going to keep our hands on our thighs. And we're gonna slide our hands forward and come to here. Then we're gonna press our hands down and we're gonna come back. And we're gonna come forward and we're gonna come back. Forward. You can kind of let your arms like go out to the side here, elbows like you're doing a press up, back, down, here. This is really important to do for anybody that may be trying to like reach the floor. You're trying to grab something from the floor standing and you can't, and you want to build that strength. This, and I turn to the side here because it's this. We're closing the gap here. A forward fold is literally you're folded. Your body is folded here. You may not reach the floor, but the idea is to close the gap between your torso and your thighs. So everybody can pretty much access that in a sense. Is that you're here, you're at neutral, right? You're here. My shoulders are over my hips. The fold takes you about here. Now, if all of a sudden you feel tight, oh, I can't get any farther, you stop. You come back up. The muscles are like gears in a machine, right? So you want to warm the gears. Bring yourself, maybe even lean back a little bit the next time you come back. And then by using the principle of physics, you're going back farther in order to come farther, farther, or whatever. Right? And the idea here is that the knees are not like this, right? If they go here, draw them in. That may frustrate your mind a bit because that's going to restrict where you go more, right? You can go way farther here, right? Than here. Ooh, I get stuck. Ooh, that's okay though. We don't want to push the body, right? This, legs in and forward. You might feel this stretch through the bottom of your butt. And that's kind of what you want, is to feel that right along the bottom of your butt down into the very top of your hamstrings, right? Now, the blocks are here because you might come forward and say, oh, I want to go down. The full forward fold here drops the head. You might be able to reach the floor completely, but I can and I don't, because I find more value in resting here. Drop the head, close the eyes. You could wrap your hands, your arms behind your calves. Depending on the kind of chair you have, you might hold the chair legs and draw the head closer to the floor, or really the chin closer to the chest. But again, I have to say that the idea here is to still find that breath we started with. So if you get yourself into a really cool fold that you are really like far in, but you can't breathe, come out of it a hair. Come out a little bit. Find that same deep breath and go back. Now, the same way we kind of have been getting into this is the way you're gonna get out of it. So you're gonna let your head look forward, let your hands walk onto your shins, onto your knees, onto your thighs as your body hinges up and finds the back of the chair. Let yourself sit a second. Shake your head no and yes. And now we're gonna take our arms down to our sides and find a very short little seated mountain pose, right? So the idea of mountain pose is that the feet are, I mean, there's like debate about this, whether the feet are hip distance, whether the feet are close. Yoga community is always debating itself, which is funny. So you can bring your feet in as close as you can. I do find value in staying here, especially seated. Staying here, arms at the side, palms forward, breathing. If that doesn't work for you, then come hip distance, right? Try to stay within the bounds of the hip though, as opposed to going super wide. And your palms don't have to face forward. The idea is that the upper back is a bit engaged here. So it's like your shoulder blades are squeezing something together. This brings your heart a bit higher. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about coming to standing, because we practice coming to standing kind of a lot in chair yoga, like just how do we do it? How do we independently get out of a chair? And it's hard. I will tell you that it's hard to do, right? But as you build strength, it actually becomes easeful and kind of playful to do a bit, right? Using the hinge of the body. So we're going to take the body forward and back. Now, for a lot of you, this might be all that you do, right? Notice your feet. Notice weight off your feet. Notice your feet. Notice weight off your feet. Notice your feet as if you're going to come to stand, but you're not. And then go back. And then forward. Now, if you have full arm movement, you could inhale, forward, lift. Exhale, down. Inhale, forward, lift. Exhale, down. And get a really nice, good rhythm going. Up and down. Now, the idea is you're reinforcing your feet, right? So at any moment, you might feel the urge to send that body forward and up off the chair, right? Either by doing this, up. We're going to do it like 2, maybe 3 times, just up and down without using anything, right? Then, move some stuff out of the way. You are going to evaluate where you are going to be comfortable doing this next maybe 10 minutes of standing movement. You are either going to be behind your chair here or in front of your chair. Yeah, I had to do that to make sure everybody was awake. Everybody's awake, right? That was really loud. Sorry, guys. Okay. So Ralph, I'm going to suggest, if I could, that you're going to use the seat part of the chair. Here.
Okay.
I'm going to demo maybe a bit of both. Maybe I'll come behind the chair, I think. Okay, so wherever you are, you could also use like ottoman, counter, something. You're gonna come up close to wherever you are and you're gonna stand. Okay, we're gonna march our feet out a little bit. And same thing we did with the sitting bones. Hold on. Turn this up a bit. Same thing we did with our sitting bones, we're gonna do with our feet. You're gonna find the right, find the left, find the right, find the left. And come back to your center. Your hands are gonna stay here if you're using the back of the chair. If you're standing in front of it, your hands are just at your sides. Now, I want to say that there's two different ways to do a sun salutation with the arms. You can inhale out to the side and come up, palms together, down at the heart, down to the side, up, palms together, down to the side, right? That's one way to do it. You can also do hands at the heart, up, and down. You can also do hands on the chair, looking up and down. Up and down. I always kind of tell people to imagine yoga as a torso, as a rectangle. More engagement through the core, the shoulders, the arms, not the arms, but the back part of your back here. Then what the arms do doesn't really matter, right? You can be out, up, down, or you can be at center. So when I say that, I just want you to know that you can do whatever you want. We'll begin here by inhaling, taking the arms up, exhaling, coming down. Inhaling, taking the arms up, and exhaling, coming down. Inhaling, taking the arms up, drawing the palms together wherever you are, and slightly leaning over towards the right. Palms together, maybe you're holding your hands at your heart, leaning over here, taking that side stretch for the hip. Then come through center and go to the other side. Nice stretch here. Breathe. Come back to center. Drop your arms down to the chair top, or to the chair seat. So you're gonna comfortably, so like using the chair seat, you can be here. You can have your palms here. I have one hand kind of curled up, one straight, or you can also hold the sides of your chair, depending on kind of what kind of chair you have and where you're at with your shoulders, but holding either here, side, or top of your chair. Allow your gaze to look down and step your feet back. So your hands are either on the seat of the chair, here, and you're going back here, or you're here, going back here. Just as far as you can go, right? And even if you're just doing it with one arm, or possibly hooking the arm on something, like I'll hook my hand here, and then really pull back. Get those elbows as straight as you can, or as straight as will allow. You can also be here, bent, and just breathe by pulling your hips back. downward dog, right? Downward dog, you'll see lots of variations of this guy, right? Very popular pose. The idea is that your body is very straight. But in order to get that straightness, you have to bend the knees. So everybody bend the knees. Take a deep squat. Wiggle your tail a bit. Find your breath. Then straighten the legs. Let one knee bend and one stay straight. Pedal it out a little. And if the knees don't move, send your weight to the right foot and then to the left. Shift your hips. Very nice. Okay, so now if this is accessible to you, you could stay right here. You could do a little bounce. You could just stay kind of stretching that hand. One hand maybe on top of the other as your hips pull back. Or you can find our up dog supported plank here by sending the weight forward, looking forward, coming to the ball of the feet. And then back. And forward. And back. Thinking like physics, right? Your body is a system. It's moving like a machine, almost. Sending the weight forward here to find up dog almost forces the feet to come to the ball of the foot. You're not necessarily lifting the ball, the pad of the heel of the foot, but by sending the weight forward, the body has no choice. You can drop the hips here and then pull back. Find downward dog. We do maybe like 4 of these, right? Now, once you're good there, you're gonna rest in downward dog. 5 feet. I'm gonna turn my chair around now just so that you can all see all the different levels of this. Now from here, this is where we start the sun salutation, right? You're gonna step your right foot forward. Stay here. So your hands are on the chair, chair back, chair seat. You're gonna straighten through your back and try to come up. You can keep your hands on the chair or move away from the chair. Bring the hands to the hips. This is warrior 1. Okay, so we're staggered feet. It's like you took a step. You took 1 step, but you didn't move, right? You're just staggered. This back guy can turn out a little bit, give you more room. But the idea is that this leg stays straight and this leg bends. Bend it a little bit and then straighten it a little bit. And if you can't bend it, again, you're just sending the weight forward and back. Forward and back. Now the full expression of this pose for our purposes here, we're gonna take our hands into our belly, interlock at our thumbs. And if you want to, you start to come forward and up, maybe back. Keep that front leg bent, back leg straight. Now take a slow exhale here as you release your hands down to the chair seat, chair back, wherever. As you press down, this front foot goes back. Find downward dog. Bend at the knees, keep the shoulders really soft. Wiggle your tail. Now we got to do the opposite side. So take your time and step the left foot forward. Get your balance, get your bearings. Breathe. And walk up, hands onto the hips. Bend into that front knee. Straighten that front knee out. That back foot, remember, if your balance is an issue, take that foot out, not to a 90 degree, but just to a little degree. And you can actually be very wide here with the feet. If balance is an issue, right? You can have the feet very wide or a bit more narrow. The only stipulation of this pose, I should say, is that the feet are in different rows. They're not in the same. Because in Warrior 2, we come out to the side and our feet line up. But here, this pose is very liberal. It's very like, do whatever you want. Find your balance. Find the warrior within. And breathe. Now, if you want that full extension here, reach forward. Inhale, come up. Arch back. Closing the eyes makes any pose a bit harder if you're challenging your own balance. Exhale here and let the hands come down. Whoa, I stepped way far up. Let the hands come down, back down to the chair. Then you're pressing down and your front foot goes whoop, back behind you. Find downward dog again. Bend the knees, take that squat. And then this is where yoga can get a little fun, right? You can practice, if you want, to jump your feet to your hands. You can also walk or step. I myself am working on a little bit of a hop up, but you can find it anywhere you want. Baby step, one big step, or a hop. And then we're gonna stay here. Actually, let's have everybody turn and face the chair seat. Because we're gonna end here with kind of a nice supported forward fold. So you're here, cushions, whatever, if you can grab them. You can make it super comfy, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna cross the arms, drop the arms down, and drop the head. Make yourself, I'm gonna take kind of a peek at everybody, but make yourself comfortable, right? If you wanna go grab a pillow or grab something, the idea is that you're resting. You're resting down on the chair, either on the forehead, or ideally, if you can get onto the crown of the head, almost like you're doing a somersault, right? Or you're going to, because that's really what we want to aim for here. It's coming down. I'm going to take my glasses off here. Maybe the knees stay really bent at first, but as you're here, try if you can to straighten through the backs of the legs. That's really good. I have to say, like, doing this is really good for your knees because the backs of your legs hardly get any play, right? So while you're down there, your knees might be a little bent to start with. Like I said, you go down and you're just gonna rest. We're here maybe like 2 minutes, just breathing, resting. But as you're there, try if you can to press into the backs of the legs by pressing your kneecaps back. Nice. I see little adjustments. That's very cool. Nice, nice. That's if you have knee like pain, that's a good one to do. And if you get dizzy or you want to come out of this at any time, come out. You can also use like a table to just rest your head. If you have a table in front of you. The idea is to rest, right? You put your head down, you know, like in elementary school, you're like here, resting. Or here, like I have these big yoga pillow thingies, bolsters they're called. So sometimes if I have like a lot of pain in my back, I'll stack them really kind of high. And just come somewhere like here. But see, notice my legs. You can see my legs. Yeah, you can see my leg. Okay, so notice here, like I have really tight hamstrings. And that's why it's funny to me that people think like you have to be flexible to do yoga, or like I must be very flexible because I teach yoga. I'm not. My hamstrings are very tight, right? But the way that you relieve that is not by this or reaching or trying to lengthen there. What you do is you relax here and then go here and kind of move. And then just letting your forehead rest can be nice. And then like everything we do, ease yourself out of it. Don't just yank yourself out. Ease yourself up and out. Let your body come to standing. If you're in the chair already, stay right there. Just let your body kind of turn. We didn't really do many twists today, but let your body to the side, to the other side, maybe even turn all the way. Open up the arms. Turn the other way, or just swing, even elbows out like washer machine, side to side. And then slowing down your movement, let your arms drop. Let yourself stand for a second. Find your breath, because I'm sure you lost it. I lost it. Find it again. Now you can have a seat back in your chair. I'm just gonna come to sit really close here because I feel like I'm too far away if I go way back there. But you're gonna have a seat just in your chair. I'm gonna sit on the floor here because this is more comfortable for me anyways. So we're here, we're seated again, back in our chair. And it's about 12:20. So like I said, a regular yoga class is about an hour. This went about an hour and a half because there was more explaining. But you get the gist of the way that the class goes, what we do. You do sweat a little bit. It is kind of hard. That's the idea, but it's also like, so now we get Shavasana, right? And this is when I get to just shut up. Let everybody sit. If you were at home, obviously you're all at home probably. You could lay down on a sofa. You could lay down on the floor. You could put your feet up on something, like on a second chair. So take a second. We have time. We'll go to 12:30 just in case anyone's looking at the time. Has to run. But we have the time. So make yourself comfortable, right? Shavasana flat is nice, but in all honesty, a lot of what I'm seeing teachers do now.
Hold on.
Yes.
I don't know who said that.
Oh, she went to get something. Okay. A lot of what I see, like Shavasana, if you Google these pictures, you're going to see Shavasana flat, right? You're going to see someone laying flat. A lot of times laying flat on your back hurts your back, right? Hurts your lower back. So if that is you, which is me, you find something more supportive, like this. Calves in the seat of the chair, hands on the belly, head is back, body's flat. You could even take a pillow or a small block for the back of your head if your neck hurts, laying flat, and you're here. This is really comfy. You can do legs up the wall if you were against the wall and put your legs up on the wall. You can rest your feet out on your coffee table or an ottoman. And just close your eyes. Close your mouth. And find the breath here in through the nose, out through the nose. It's nice to have a clock or a timer nearby when you do some of this stuff, so you can actually do like 3 or 4 minutes. Sometimes we could get into it, we do like 30 seconds, and it's like, try for a minute, maybe 2, maybe 3. And then I would say that if you were on your side, you could roll over, spend a moment on your side. If you're just seated, you'll take a moment and just pull yourself up. to a seated position here, and we'll all take our hands into our heart, any sort of kind of way you can, right? You can press your palms together, you can cup at just at the heart, wherever, right? We'll keep our eyes closed for a little while longer as we close in our practice here, or seal in our practice. Practicing a moment of gratitude for yourself for what you just did, because yoga is hard sometimes and can challenge the body a bit to get into positions that it maybe has never been in. And that's something to congratulate yourself for. Ending the class here, we'll inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth. So it's a really nice audible breath, something kind of like move your head around, shake your head around. You can do that twice. Intentionally releasing something, or even 3 times. Sometimes people are like, oh, I need that third one, right? Somebody's just, And as always, the divine light that resides within me honors that divine light within you. Namaste.
Namaste.
You guys are incredible. My heart is so like full right now because you guys are so awesome. That was so awesome. Yoga is not so hard once you do it. And with, like I said, with the sequence of 4, each class does get a bit harder and it is challenging, right? It is something that is going to make you go like, huh, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if but it's fun and it's really rewarding and it's something that you can dabble in a little bit, go farther into if you want. Like I said, you don't need anything, but if you feel inspired and you're at Target or Walmart or something, you see something, it's a nice hobby to have, you know, because you can dabble in it. You can dabble in it as much as you want and say, I want to try that. Well, no, I don't want to try that. And then you just get to do whatever you want, right? So I would love to do like a full, well, we will do that next week, like the full hour, less talking, less pausing and explaining, and really just a full hour of movement. We will do, because it will be less talking, when we come up to standing, we do 1 round of sun salutations. By the 3rd or 4th class, we're doing 3 rounds. So you're building momentum each time you're doing this, building more stamina to stay standing, to do that, you know, but yeah, each class gets a little harder, but you could always just stick with like the first version. Like if we move from warrior 1 to warrior 2 to warrior 3. Warrior 3 is where you're off the back leg. You know, you're kind of like in a Superman pose, the back leg lifts up, but you maybe don't want to do that. Maybe you say, oh, my knee doesn't allow me to do that. I don't want to do that. So then you stay in warrior 1. You build your strength. We would get up to 3 sun salutations and then do some balancing stuff. Like today, we didn't have time to do any balancing because I'm talking. We're moving and explaining a lot. So next week, we'll do a little bit of balancing. You're standing next to the chair, maybe just putting your weight on one foot and seeing if you can lift up on the other foot, right? Can you do that? Have you ever tried that? You'll try both. Then we'll move into like a flamingo where the knee comes closer to the chest and you're balancing. And then you go into tree where the knee goes out and you're balancing. But you do what you want and you leave the rest. I kind of say it's like a yoga buffet. You don't feel bad about leaving food at a buffet. So why would you feel bad about saying, that's not for me? I'm not going to do that. It's okay. And if yoga culture tells you anything else, run like hell, because that's not good quality yoga. We want to keep the integrity of yoga here and really honor ourselves, honor our uniqueness in our bodies, and do what is best for ourselves. And I just think it's such a beautiful practice for a stroke survivor. because I don't know, I just think it like kind of makes sense that if you have something that disconnected you from your body, you would find a practice that connected to you to your body. Yoga literally means union. You're unionizing your mental, spiritual, and physical bodies back together after something that took each part of you a different direction. You know, you went different ways. You separated out, you might not feel certain body parts. Now we're drawing back, coming back into here. And it's such a beautiful thing. I just think it's such a thing that we should be celebrating and doing together. Because like Ralph said, it's kind of boring to do yoga by yourself. You can, I do, because I'm like weird, but it's nice to have a community. And it's nice to have physically, if you have somebody with you to do it with, a partner is very helpful in yoga because you can assist each other. You can hands-on touch each other in ways that are cueing the body to do certain things. And I love working with stroke survivors in person because then I get to do that. I get to be that person to cue the body, to show the body, to help the body kind of. And that's very fun for me. COVID happened and I don't really get to do that a whole lot anymore, but online stuff, if any of you want to do personal stuff, private stuff, that's an option, right? Email me, tell me what your schedule is, what you want to work on. We can come up with a plan to do private, individualized yoga. That's what I do. Like, that's what my work is. My heart is in teaching that. But like Ralph said, the idea is with these videos is that getting, because here's the thing, is not everybody wants to be visible doing yoga, be seen, or be interacting with me for a whole hour, you know, on a mat. I get that. I'm not offended by that at all. So the idea is that the videos are a good way to just jump in, try it, and see. Then you could always email me a question like, hey, Rachel, I saw that. I can't really do this because my foot doesn't really move like that. How could I do that? And then I could just email you a version of how to do that or a picture or whatever. So we don't have to be super intimate and get like, we're going to do a full hour and a half of you and me. Like, that's a lot. Some people that I know like that, and I have regular people that I see every week that like that interaction. We do a lot more personal stuff, but basically the idea is to get this out more comfortably so that people don't necessarily have to be visible. You can practice this on your own. We can do group classes. We can get together, have Q&A sessions where we just talk about, hey, what'd you do? What kind of yoga did you do today? Or what kind of yoga do you need today? What does your body need? And those kind of questions are great. So on that note, if anyone has anything to say or ask or comment on anything at all.
I would just say to remember it's your practice. I have mine, Rachel has yours, it's yours. It's not the neighbor ladies, it's not your friends, it's your practice. So you do what you feel comfortable doing, what you're able to do. And I've found over the last couple of years that as I keep doing it, and I don't do it enough, but I do it regularly, I found that I can do more and more, and I'm more comfortable doing some of the things that kind of weirded me out in the beginning. So that's my 2 cents. It's your practice. And I think it'd be real beneficial having them on the 4 stages on the YouTube channel, because if you're new to this and you still got deficit and balance issues, you might want to watch number 1 for a month and before you move on to number 2 and everything. And the good thing about yoga is it's what corporate people call evergreen. It's not going to change. It's not going away. It'll be valid for forever. pretty much.
That's the cool thing about yoga is that it's always there for you, right? It's always there if you want to do it. If you have like a free hour at home and you're like, my shoulder really hurts. Okay. You have a little sequence of what you can do, some moves you can do to make your body feel a bit better, to connect more. And absolutely, like Ralph said, it's your practice. So it almost feels a bit like, I don't know what the right word is, but almost like it's not something that people can teach you. Saying that I'm a yoga teacher even saying that kind of makes me go like, well, what? I'm not really a yoga teacher. I might be like a guide or an example, but you're teaching yourself. You're teaching yourself. You're finding your way, and there has to be that kind of level of ownership in it, because that's yoga. And that's why I say that if anybody tells you otherwise or wants you to think that you have to do it like this, or it has to look like this, or it has to be like you have to wear this, you have to go here, you have to do this, run like hell, because that's not yoga. That's something else. I don't know what it is, but it's not this. And you have to really make it yours. And that's the cool part about it, is that it is as unique as all of us sitting here. All of our poses are going to be different, look different. Our practices are going to be totally different, yet still following the rules of alignment, breath, and posture. Those are three things that are going to be the same for all of us, but it looks differently. It looks different. It plays out different. And that's really the beauty of yoga, I think, is that there is no one teacher that can teach you this. No one style that's going to work for you. You're going to do it. You're going to master it. Oh, you got it. You got yoga now. You're good.
When I first started, or before I started, I thought of it like aerobics class. And if you've ever been a guy in aerobics class, especially if you don't do it a lot, you're like always behind. You're doing everything wrong. So I was afraid it was, that I was supposed to be able to do everything the teacher did the same way. And I've learned to make it my practice, back to your practice, your practice concept. I couldn't do certain things that I can do now. And so I did them as well as I could. And I've gotten better with a number of things. It's very subtle, takes a little while, but when I started yoga, I put my knuckles on the floor when I was 50, 60. I went to do it. I came up about 4 inches short from my fingertips. And then about 6 months later, I didn't practice anything except yoga, and I can touch my toes just fine now. So all the stretching and everything is very subtle, but it resulted for me in more flexibility. And I can't help but think that if people do it, that they'll find more flexibility and balance. I couldn't do standing warrior and stuff. I was actually fooling around after we did the chair warrior a couple times. I just went ahead and I can still do that. So on that note, we'll end it. Make it your practice, do what you can, come back and see us for the next 4 weeks, and they'll be available on YouTube. And thank you, Rachel. What else?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other things anybody wants to say before I run? I'm going to get off, but any questions, any things? I will see you guys next week. If you decide to come back, we will get more into.
Thank you so much. This was amazing.
You're
I
welcome.
needed this today.
Right?
Mentally and physically, I needed this today.
You and me both. You and me both. Yeah.
That makes my day, because that's why Rachel goes to some effort and I go to some effort to try and spread the word, because Rachel's goal is to see if she can't get some version of adaptive, or what we both call, it's interesting because we both came to the term stroke yoga completely separately, but with I can adapt. My goal wasn't necessarily getting every yoga studio in the country, but I can jump on Rachel's bandwagon on that one because my mantra was, expose as many stroke survivors as possible to it. And, of course, I wouldn't be surprised if people who, they're the older folks and people with other types of physical issues certainly could benefit from the same. When I've gone to adaptive yoga classes at the Y, there were people there that weren't stroke survivors that still needed to be in the chair. So I'm hoping they'll be useful to everybody and long-lived and on YouTube. So I'm glad I'm glad, Carla, that you enjoyed it, and Heather, we're glad to see you. Same with Paulak and Ursula, the people I don't know, and all the rest of you, Abraham, Billy, Winnie, and Carly, and I guess Angelia dropped out. Thanks to all of you for coming too. So.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much,
Right, thank you.
Rachel and Ralph, for
Thank you
making
so
this
much.
possible, and
Everyone have a
Rachel.
wonderful rest of the day. Take care.
All
Yeah.
Be
right.
well.
Thank you, Ralph. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.